For a show about a blue jay and a raccoon working at the park, playing video games, and navigating daily life, regular show was never supposed to be serious. It went from 80s montages and laser gunfights to respect and responsibility. Let's take a deep dive here on this episode of Regular Show is one of my all-time favorite cartoons. It explores the weird and it is super creative. From the moment I started watching it, I knew that I was forever addicted, in a sense. Cartoon Network released Regular Show, and when they did, and what I'm about to say is truly from the bottom of my heart, it helped me in so many ways, and I'm here to talk about that. I began watching Regular Show in my early teenage years. I rewatched it again in the later teenage years and once again in my young adult life. And now that I'm 25 and kind of considered mid-20s, early to old adult, I guess. I don't know. I'm rewatching it. And upon rewatching it has prompted this video. As I'm going through the episodes and the seasons and reminiscing on some of my favorite moments, I kind of picked up on a theme, right? And I want to start talking about it from the very beginning of the show. In the very beginning of the show, it is very evident that this show is anything but its title, regular. It quite literally pokes at nothing matters. And it pushes that to a T. It quite literally goes to as far as you want it to go without crossing any lines, but it's still so far out of the ordinary that you don't know what to expect from the next episode. Watching it for the first time, I'm jealous of those who have never seen it because it is truly a magnificent thing to do. I call the first quarter of the show the slacker era, right? It quite literally just kind of gives off college dorm room vibes between a blue jay named Mordecai and a raccoon named Rigby. And they're best friends. They work at a park, and the show kind of does put the focal point on them. However, there's characters like Skips and Benson and Pops and Muscle Man and High Five Ghost, and later on in the show, Thomas. And those are kind of the main characters you interact with. Sure, you see Eileen. Sure, you see Margaret. You meet CJ. You meet these supporting cast of characters, but as far as the main characters go, I would say it really focuses on Mordecai, Rigby, Benson, Skips, Pops, Muscle Man, and High Five Ghost. Those 7 are critical to the show's identity. Quite literally down to a T, it's who defines Regular Show. And the moment that Regular Show kind of slightly grew up on us was the moment that Excellent happened. To me, Excellent is the turning point of the show, right? It is the first kind of serious moment. If you're not familiar with the episode, Excellent is the episode where Rigby attempts a breakfast challenge. And this is the world's hardest breakfast challenge, and Rigby is obsessed with it because he wants to win his famous Excellent trucker hat. The trucker hat means everything to him, and Rigby will stop at nothing to get it. Well, on his first attempt, he has an allergic reaction, which puts him into the hospital. And this is the first moment that the show uses an emotion that is kind of negative in a sense. Although Mordecai cares for his friend and is willing to do anything to help Rigby out, it kind of shows sadness for a split second. You can tell that Mordecai is avenging his friend in a sense. It takes his first step into becoming something more than just a goofy cartoon show. It starts to become meaningful in a sense. Not to say that the early episodes are useless, but they definitely didn't have a purpose like Act 2, in my opinion. the second quarter of regular show the turning point, right? And that starts with excellent. After excellent, you begin to notice that the episodes have a little bit more cohesion, right? They begin to start gluing themselves together in a sense that allows you to follow the story a little bit better. They start adding details and they start giving characters backstories and they start reminding you of things that happened in the past. And it slowly starts to push to the point that I call the peak of the mountain, right? And the peak of the mountain kind of turns into a plateau, but I'll discuss that in a second. The peak of the mountain begins right after Mordecai wants to confess his love for Margaret for the first time. He does it multiple times throughout the show, and it's one of the things I relate to him the most. Chasing the girl that seems to never want you. But that's a side topic for not a YouTube video, right? And it begins to resonate with your life a lot more in a sense that you never thought you would get from regular show, right? Mordecai and Rigby aren't just slackers anymore like they were in Act 1. They grew up in Act 2, and with the peak of the mountain in Act 3, you start to see these characters gaining a sense of depth, right? Mordecai's relationships become more complicated, right? This is around the time when CJ kind of gets introduced. Margaret becomes a big piece, but also depresses Mordecai to the point that he doesn't care anymore, and he ends up going to, the town. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Drop it in the comments, and I'm sure I'm gonna read it at least twice. But it explores adult emotions and adult problems in a sense, right? Mordecai doesn't get the girl, and he becomes depressed. Rigby realizes that he messes everything up, and he starts to try and change his life. He tries to account for his mistakes, like going back and getting his GED, going back and doing the things that he failed on before. He tries to start becoming a better person, and while regular show loses none of its wild, wacky moments, it starts to gain meaning. The crude humor, while still hilarious and very much entertaining, not only is there to make you laugh, but it's also there to tell you something. It begins building this message, and it begins approaching Act 4. Act 4 is when regular show turns into this cinematic masterpiece, in my opinion. And of course, that's a very large opinion, but with it being one of the best animations, I will die on this hill. I will die at the peak of the mountain. Regular show starts to teach you that your actions have consequences. Pop's story turns into a destiny, right? It's no longer just a ha-ha, he-he, lollipops or money. He starts to become this galactic, almost god in a sense. I don't want to call him that, but he becomes this being that has the potential to save the universe. And you realize that the show has meaning. The show has been building to something all along, and it is beautiful. It is quite literally something that no one ever expected upon watching season 1. Upon watching the first episode, you never expect regular show to become meaningful, right? You always expected the wacky and weird adventures because they give you that from day 1. But to grow attached to these characters and to watch Pop save the universe and to watch them grow as people, you begin to realize that what regular show is trying to teach you is that responsibility isn't something you can run from. Isn't something that you can just do the tango with and never have to interact with. Regular show helped me grow up in a sense, and if those of you who watched it through your young adolescent life can kind of relate to this, I hope. They push you to a point where you realize that you have to become responsible. Your actions have consequences, and those consequences can be dire, can be things that mess up your life for the rest of your life. And it's in a sense that it teaches you how to be an adult almost. And now it's not teaching you how to do taxes or how to efficiently shop at the grocery store, how to go to the DMV or register to vote. No, it teaches you how to manage your life in a way that you can still have fun, but you gotta remember at the end of the day, there are things you have to do. There are purposes you have in life. There are destinies even that you are called for. Regular show grew up and none of us noticed because we were busy growing up alongside of it. Regular show is truly one of the greatest animations to ever grace Cartoon Network, to ever grace any streaming service, and to simply ever be created. I put it on a pedestal because it deserves it. Because it truly takes 15 to 20 minutes to enjoy an episode, and it doesn't ever miss. And while being the show that it is, being the entertaining, some of the best 15 to 20 minutes of your life, it teaches you that you have to face responsibility and that you, while growing up, also grew up with the characters. Regular show didn't just grow old. It didn't just age its characters, it helped age us. And if you made it this far, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for making it to the end of the video. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. What's your favorite cartoon? What's your favorite part of regular show? What's your favorite episode? Who's your favorite character? So many things. Let's get a conversation going. Again, this has been The Kevin Show. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.